Canned Wine Podcast, where we open cans of wine and talk about it. We're in Season 4, Episode 13. And this year we're taking you on a fantastic journey. And we're going north, way north. Still in the Americas, but Nova Scotia is our target this trip of the fantastic journey. So we're back to Canada. As you can see, I'm wearing my Canadian wine country hoodie and my New York style hat. There's a real joke around here that everyone in New York, no matter what the weather is, they're always wearing something black. And in fact, the police put out an urgent notice that when you're walking at night, you shouldn't be wearing black. And I'm like, but that's what we do in New York. We just wear black all the time. It's just the ideal color for everything you're doing. And you know, if you're brushing against a subway or some sort of a dirty truck goes by, hey, you're still black. So anyways, running joke. But before we can get into our can of the week, we have to talk about our Wine Nerd Word of the Week. And the Wine Nerd Word of the Week is another couple of words, which is off dry. So what is off dry? Well, it's a slightly sweet wine, which would contain 10 to 35 grams per liter of residual sugar. Well, where does the residual sugar come from? In the process of fermenting the grapes, it can be stopped, or it can just run out of steam, because if you get to around 14%, the yeast kills itself, and there could be some sugar left over, especially if you have a particularly sweet grape to start with. Now in Europe and other markets, they do something called chapitalization, where they kick a bit of sugar into the mix to make the wine strengthen and have more alcohol. We don't do that in North America, and it's somewhat frowned upon, but it's a legitimate technique if you know that you're doing it. It's not the fortification that comes through distillation, but it is another term. So I've given you a bonus Wine Nerd Word of the Week, which is chapitalization. But off-dry wines, 10 to 35 grams per liter. Some would say they're 10 to 18 grams per liter. And below 10, you have what would be called a dry wine. So we do have a can of the week this week. And to bring this one in is our Dean of Dealcoholization. Dean, are you there?
I'm here, Brad. Good evening.
Hi, Dean. And where do we find you today? Are you in Paradise or some exotic location?
We are at home in Lynchburg, Virginia, sitting in front of the wood stove on a somewhat chilly night, but enjoying the pre-Thanksgiving weekend.
Excellent. And I was out today. People don't really realize this, but the wine just doesn't necessarily come to the house like with the maker's wine. Sometimes you have to go around and hit up the usual places that you'll find it. So I was on a bit of a trap line up into somewhere that you're familiar with, the northern town of Beacon, New York. And I hit up a couple places there, one being Artisan Wines and Liquors, which is right on Main Street. And then just slightly off of Main Street, well, actually, his address is on Main Street, Paul Brady Wines, who specializes in New York wines. And I didn't find what I was looking for, which was that, do you remember a while back we did Zéro NA Riesling?
Yes.
Couldn't find it. She may be getting some more in, but she also agreed that that was a very dry Riesling, which was something that I like, because a lot of the Rieslings you get, they're not even off dry, they're just a sweet wine. And that was a good one, but I didn't find it today. I did find, of note, a wine from Virginia. So I'll be having that coming up in the not too distant future. I think it's some sort of a wine spritz or something, as well as an Italian Lambrusco, a Prosecco, and I picked up a couple of an orange wine from Pine Bush, from the same people that we at one point were going to try a Concord, a wine that we never ended up doing, but the same winery now makes a couple of other ones. So there's a white blend called based on an Aurora grape, as well as a skin contact or orange wine, which seems to be a trend that's going on right now. So we'll try both of those, and I may even, I know in the holidays I may try Paul Brady's version of like a New York Prosecco, which he says is quite good. So I actually met Paul, and he's agreed to swap knit caps. So next time I go up there, I'll be getting myself a very cool Paul Brady knit cap, and he's agreed to champion the canned wine podcast one. So we both had a laugh that we're from northern climates and we have to come up with unique things like knit caps to keep our noggins cold. But I'm rambling on, Dean. That was my day in the trap line. Very productive. Got a couple of bags of cans and still looking for our next NA wine, but the current one is this one that we have. Would you like to introduce it?
That'd be great. The wine, NA wine of the week here is from Benjamin Bridge Vineyards, way up in Nova Scotia near the Bay of Fundy, and it's called Piquette Zéro. It's an alcohol-free and sugar-free white wine style spritzer in a 250 milliliter can.
Yes, and it's a very colorful. It's got all sorts of citrus notes printed on it, and some little things that indicate hops, because there are hops and citrus things on here. Now, just as I don't know if it's a disclaimer, in full disclosure, this actually isn't a distilled beverage. It is a crafted beverage that is made to taste like a white wine style spritzer. So we're curious to see that. We haven't really had, I'm not sure, even the Lyre stuff contains some fermented beverage, didn't it?
The Lyre's does contain some pre-fermentation must, I
Okay.
believe. I think they stop it just before it gets to alcohol.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now this is, as you mentioned, a product of Benjamin Brady Wines in the Gaspereau Valley of Nova Scotia, Canada, and the winemaker is Jean-Benet Desailliers, I think is the way you pronounce that. That's their head winemaker. And they take time to craft this, and they say that as it has beyond zero alcohol, never had alcohol, this is suitable for you to enjoy while you're breastfeeding or any kind of thing where you just can't get involved with alcohol. So I think it's a good choice. Where did it come from? Well, when I was up in Canada, I always like to go by they call it mixers and beverage aisle in our local Safeway. And I was up there with my sister, and we saw this, and I said, hey, I should get these because I know a guy in Virginia that would like to open one. And I also gave a couple to our friend Lorinda, who's Kenny's wife in Winnipeg, because she also enjoys NA type beverages. So I'm going to try and encourage her to enjoy this. I haven't tried it myself. It was a 4-pack. It was quite reasonable, and I thought, oh great, this would be our first wine from Nova Scotia. And while I was chatting about what we were opening tonight with Paul Brady of Paul Brady Wines, he said, oh, is it a Benjamin Bridge Wines? And I said, I think it is. And I wasn't sure because I had only looked at it once in a supermarket. But turns out it was. So he knows his wines, and was a very, very interesting character to talk to. He's also a jazz guitarist and had the fortune or misfortune to do a performance in Winnipeg at one time. So we had quite a good conversation, and I'm glad that I bumped into him. And I mean, that's what you do. If you're looking for something like this, go into your wine store and say, you have any canned wines? And if they're competent and well stocked, they'll help you out. The other place up there that was very good was Artisan Wines and Liquors. They're a little bit further down the main street in Beacon, and they never fail. They always have a nice little display, and they had some of the ones that I was familiar with. They had Marlborough, the wines from Marlborough, Paul Brady had the stuff from Long Island, which is Bridge Lane wines, which I had seen there before, as well as at the NYBG, the Botanical Garden in the Bronx. So it's out there, and if you know what you're looking for, you can find it. And if you don't know what you're looking for, check out the mixers aisle in your local Safeway or supermarket, and you could find some of this. They did have some bottles of NA Cabernet Sauvignon, some NA whites, which I've tried a few of them, and some of them were pretty good. But we are the canned wine podcast, so we try and stick to the stuff in cans. But have you ever tried any of those bottles of the NA wine, Dean?
I have. I've tried several of them, a couple of reds, a couple of whites, and I actually don't think they have been as good as the canned NAs that we've tried, especially some of the Ojoy and the Ep13 Zero really are very tasty compared to some of the bottled ones.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't pick them up because when I'm traveling, it's difficult to carry full bottles of wine on airplanes, whereas these I can pack in my suitcase, and you can get a lot of variety into a few hundred milliliters. You know what I mean? So, but we've talked a lot about this, and I'm very excited to open it. It says it has natural flavors, hops, and sea salt. So I went and looked at it. There is actually a the nutrition label, because it isn't wine, so isn't wine has to have a nutrition label. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not.
Yes, yeah. We've mentioned before that if it's wine, then it's even if it's an NA wine, it does not need to have ingredients.
Alrighty, why don't we do what else we do on the Canned Wine Podcast? We talk about wines, but we also open them and continue to talk about them. So I think we should do that at this point.
Are you going to do the countdown?
I will, and we'll open on 1 second after 0, and keep it quiet while we observe it, and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
2, 1, 0. Well, this is a very light colored beverage. I am smelling some citrus. What are you smelling, Dean?
I'm a little stuffy, but I am smelling some maybe strawberry. It's light. It's mine. I'm getting just about clear, just tinged with color.
Color-wise, I would say it's slightly beyond clear water, but yeah, there's a little bit of yellow to it. It's got a little bit of, I'd say, pearlage in it. No, I think it's fairly clear. Are you seeing any particulate in it or anything?
No, clear and clean.
It's certainly fruity. I'm tasting citrus overtones, which are indicated on the can. They show oranges and looks like a grapefruits.
I think the finish is just very, just getting reminiscent of the hops that they use. I'm taking a little bit of it because I get that in the NA beers that I drink as well.
You're tasting hops?
At the finish.
Yeah, I could taste that there. Nice.
Yes, yeah. Dry. I know there's no sugar in this, so you expect it to be just grapey sweet or grape tasting sweet and no added sugar.
I don't taste much There's a little grapey flavor, but has a nice nose to it.
Very, very clean.
Yeah, I would say it's tends towards a seltzery type of a drink.
It does not have the astringency of dry wine.
No, not at all. But very drinkable.
I see there's a little bit of glycerin in it, so I think maybe the smoothness is coming from the glycerin.
Could be. Oh, I like it. I'm not sure what you would pair this with. Some sort of light fare like a charcuterie board, or it might be good with a bit of chocolate or something like that.
I'm thinking it would be great with breakfast.
It would. It would kind of like a mimosa, sort of a mimosa surrogate.
Yep, I think I could see it with a breakfast buffet with an omelet, some sausage, and it would be a nice foil for that.
It certainly has a palate cleansing sort of a taste to it as well. I don't mind it. This could be after dinner, or before breakfast, as you had said.
Mm-hmm. It'd be refreshing if you could keep it cold. If you were out for a hike as well, too, just a nice to pack with your lunch on the trail.
True, and they recommend serving it at quite cool, like 3 Celsius or so, which I had mine straight out of the fridge. It had been there overnight, so I think I'm at the right temperature, which is quite nice. So our shout outs today goes out to Lorinda. Great news, and celebrating your excellent test results. I would think you could pair this up with a soak in a hot tub. What do you think, Dean?
Oh yeah, I could pair a lot of stuff up with a soak in a hot tub.
Exactly. As the weather gets colder, I'm more attracted to a soak in the hot tub, and certainly my heated seats, which that keeps me going in the mornings. So. Paul, you were right on the money with the vineyards. I told him it was in Nova Scotia, and he said, "Oh, it must be Benjamin Bridge," which it was. So, good catch. And I'm going to go into the warehouse and find you one of those knit caps and hook you up. Next time I'm on here, you might see me wearing a knit cap. And this is going to air right around Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, Dean.
Thank you so much. I know you recently had yours up in Canada.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the American Thanksgiving. This would be good with sort of a pre-Thanksgiving, whatever you're having before you get down to the main meal. It would go with turkey. I don't think that would be a stretch to drink this with turkey.
Not at all.
All right. Well, I'm trying to think of our head scratcher, and which would be, I have it written down here, but it's obviously not the wine. What Prairie Day is? I might have to sneak up here. I got something holding that up. Well, so our head scratcher this week is, which province does this wine come from? We'll go with that. So if you were listening closely, you can remember, you'll get it right away. If not, go back and listen to it. And again, Paul Brady, good catch on that. Look forward to catching up and talking wine with you again. In closing, Dean, thanks again for coming on and illuminating us with your information on the NA wines. We are looking for another one, so I don't know if we'll stir up who was those people, Buzzkill or somebody, see who's got something out there, so we can have another NA wine coming up before Christmas time. Would be nice. Thanks again for your stalwart support down there in Virginia, and I'm excited to open a wine from Virginia in a can, which I hadn't seen before. So in closing, again, always enjoy responsibly. The Can Wine Podcast is where we open cans of wine and talk about it, but just because it comes in a can, we don't recommend you drink and drive. Even this one, I wouldn't recommend it because you might be distracted by its excellent taste. The Can Wine Podcast is a Center Stage production, all rights reserved.